Professor, the difficulty here is the terminology. I want to be precise. We have lots of people who have disembarked the vessel and have gone home or have gone to their home country, and they may now be in quarantine or isolation, but that does not mean, if I understand it correctly, that they are symptomatic or that they've got it. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. I guess there's two categories of people: those with symptoms, who are being cared for by the medical staff and wearing appropriate protective gear and being hopefully looked after very well in different locations around the world at the moment. And then a much larger group of individuals, of course, some of whom may not ever develop this respiratory illness. In fact, most of whom who won't, but are potentially exposed, and so they're in a sort of a quarantine during a period of time which is being set by the public health authorities with World Health Organization to ensure that they're not coming into contact with other people until that period has ended, and hopefully none of them will be affected.
So when the lady that we just heard on the dock in Spain, in the Canary Islands, says we've had no information and we're very worried and this, that and the other, it's understandable at one level, but people like yourself tell me or tell us, no, you can't get it. It's not like catching the common cold. There has to be prolonged exposure at close quarters. What that means, of course, I leave to the experts.
Well, I mean, what that essentially means is that it's a very close face-to-face contact for a prolonged period. But I think the important thing here is that we know who's been exposed and we know who's got symptoms. And so in both of those scenarios, that it's possible to make sure that no one they come into contact with is at any risk. If there's no symptoms, they are almost certainly not shedding any virus. But anyone who's symptomatic will be looked after by people who've got protective equipment. So I think the risk is near to zero, and it stays like that unless there's been other cases that have already transmitted that we're not aware of. But I don't think there's any evidence for that at this moment.
So if, hypothetically, if you're sort of in your office and somebody says, Professor, XYZ's got a case of hantavirus, or XYZ's got a case of Ebola or something like that, I gather with the latter, you'd be much more concerned than the former.
Well, I think it's not really quite the case, because in each of those scenarios, we understand the virus and what is required in order to make sure that staff and their contacts are protected. So in the case of Ebola, it's spread by body fluids and direct contact with those. And in the case of hantavirus, it's very close contact. This is not like COVID, where even someone who's well can be transmitting it. And they could be in your office, as you say, and transmitting it without you even knowing that they're unwell and without them knowing it. This is not a virus that is likely to be causing a prolonged outbreak. It needs containment. It's not over yet, but it shouldn't cause anything very much further than we have already.
That, I think, is an important point, Professor, that essentially this will play itself out in short order, relatively short order. I'm not saying there won't be more misery and tragedy, but in relatively short order, this should come to an end.
Yes, it's about detecting cases, detecting contacts, and making sure that all of those are kept safe. And very quickly it will burn itself out. But there's obviously always the risk that something goes wrong, but that should be near to zero once you know who all of the people who are potential contacts are, and they're all isolating until they've got to the end of the incubation period.
Professor, grateful for you, sir, tonight. Common sense, good, solid common sense, putting us on the right track, and I'm grateful. Thank you.